Father, I just thank you. I thank you for this Shabbat. I thank you for everyone here. I thank you for your word. Your written word that's alive. Thank you for Yeshua, the living word that walked it out perfectly. And that we may begin to walk like he walked, to speak as he spoke, to do as he did, to humble himself, to humble ourselves as he was humble. Father, give us your spirit and change us from the inside out. Show us the way to do it, and we rely on you for your strength for us to walk it out each and every day, because it's a constant battle between the flesh and the spirit, and we need your spirit to walk it out, to walk out your truths. Father, I thank you for your word. May your word be spoken, and may your word be true. May you be honored and esteemed. Thank you. In the name of Yeshua. Amen.
Amen.
All right, so we've been talking about discipleship. We're going to kind of backtrack a little bit on discipleship here. Because I kind of realized I've been going through a lot of information really, really quick. And so I want to backtrack a little bit. So really, for me, this is what it's all about, being a disciple. And if we're not focused on being a disciple, then what are we focused on? And being a disciple requires spirit and truth. And if you're not walking in the spirit and truth, then you're misled. If you're not walking in the truth by the spirit, you're misled. So we have this balance we have to walk. And so it's not an easy balance because a lot of people miss it. Scriptures say that. Few will find it. And once you find it, it becomes difficult. It becomes afflicting. It's not an easy path. But once you find it, you'll find that it does become afflicting. Things in life feel a little more difficult. Not easier. And so, but it's about being a disciple. That's what it's about. And as I've been thinking and meditating about this stuff, thinking about the Word, and thinking about Yeshua's character and the character of people throughout Scripture, what is the primary thing we need to be? Humble. Humility. So he came down from on high and became nothing, right? He didn't consider himself anything. He knew who he was, and he knows what he's going to be, and what he's going to do, and what he's going to rule over. So really, we have to be humble. That's kind of rule number one. We have to be humble. If we're not humble, how do we expect to get in the kingdom? How do we expect to walk out the way he walked it out? How do we expect to be a disciple? I don't know. I haven't figured that one out yet. I don't think I will. Because to be a disciple, you need to learn everything the master teaches you. Right? And then you have to be like that teacher or that master. So historically, that's how it was done. You learn from your teacher, and then you walk it out like your teacher. Our teacher is Yeshua. So we need to be like him. We need to walk it out like him. He was humble. Humility. Hard thing to come by because you got both ends. You got the humility and you got the pride. They go against one another. They hit pretty hard. The flesh likes the pride, but pride precedes the fall. Very scriptural concept. And you see it over and over. Pride precedes the fall. So with this idea of discipleship, I'll be honest, I was like, oh, I don't feel like he wants to. This whole week, I was like, I don't know what to talk about. Don't know what to talk about. Don't know what to talk about. Until this morning, I was like, oh, that's what we're talking about. And so I was like, here we go. So we're going to get into a disciple. What kind of Yeshua said about a disciple. And so we're going to go to Luke 6, verse 40. Starting with verse 40. We're going to jump around. Classic for that. Jumping around. But what I'm going to do with this is pull out key concepts. I understand there's context to this. We may actually come back to the bigger context of this situation here. But I want to first, what is he talking about? Luke 6, starting at verse 40. Actually, before we get into that, I just had a thought that I wanted to share. So I can only speak from my experience, and you can speak from your experience. But there's one thing coming into the Torah that I think I'm just about ready to rediscover, that I missed, that I didn't realize I missed. And it's critical for a walk. So years ago, I'd meet with some guys. We'd meet quarterly, maybe twice a year. We'd go, probably twice a year we would go and just go camping or something, and we'd hang out. We would dive into scriptures. We would pray. Gifts were being used. We were seeking the word to change ourselves. This is pre-Torah days. I was a Christian going to the Baptist church. Or non-denominational, I can't remember. But what we were doing is we were striving to be more like the Master. And the gifts were being used in a way to edify one another. We would spend time praying. People would get visions. Next day, someone had a dream. We'd talk about it. It wasn't anything big. I still remember some of those to this day. The one I remember from one of those trips was someone, and I share this just because it's very meaningful. It's been about what we've been talking about. He said the adversary had a bag, had something in the bag, but we didn't know what was in the bag. But he's hiding it from us. Didn't want us to know what it was. And so then someone started praying about it, and over the course of time, prayer and meditation, he goes, you know what was in that bag? No. Love. And I was like, wow. And what I've been saying for like months now, one of the biggest end times challenges is being able to love our brothers and sisters. So I was like, spot on. Spot on. I'm the only one that I'm aware of that's come to the true side of things, the Torah. But I tell you what, those are things that I remember because we were actually trying to refine ourselves and refine one another, and the Spirit was there. Coming to the Torah, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it. It breaks my heart. What I see is people wanting to know the truth, which is a worthy, wonderful thing, but not willing to walk it out. Or just look at what I know. Look how much I know. Versus taking that truth to refine yourself to become more like Messiah. A lot of you know a lot more than I do about Scripture. That's good. I'm glad. That doesn't matter. Are you willing to walk it out? A lot of you have spiritual giftings a lot better than I do. That doesn't matter. Are you willing to use those giftings to edify and walk it out? I'm talking about basics. No one likes the basics because it hurts. You got to humble yourself. You got to seek it. You got to desire it. You got to look in the mirror and make a decision. Am I going to stay this way, or am I going to change? And I'm not saying you're going to be changing things every day. You might go through seasons of that. But are you really seeking it out, to walk it out the way He wants it to be walked out? That's something each one of us have to ask ourselves. And more importantly, as we talked about before, we go to pray, and we listen. Listen to what the Father, what the Spirit's trying to tell us. Sorry, that's a lot more verses we get into. I don't want to get into that today, but I can pull out verses that says you go, you listen, and He will fill you with, basically from that process, He will start to refine you and fill you with His Spirit, so you produce fruit. All right, so that's the basics of discipleship, in my humble opinion. That's what the Scripture is all about. The Scripture is simple. We have tendency to make it complex. I'm not saying we understand it all, but there's a lot of repeating themes throughout here. So, as I said, I'm very optimistic. We're on this cusp of walking in spirit and truth, refining one another in a very good way. That's my heart's desire. At least what He's put on me. I can't say it's truly my heart's desire because we're pretty evil people. Alright, now we get back on Luke 6, verse 40. So we're talking about discipleship. A taught one, so disciple, right? A taught one is not above his teacher, but everyone perfected shall be like his teacher. So you're not going to be above your teacher. We're not going to be above Yeshua, but once perfected, once you've gone through the process, you will be like your teacher. Huh. Yeah, we'll never be above Him, but we'll be like Him. Man, that's like kind of a hard thing to get your head around, right? We'll never be perfect. We will all have sin. Don't take it that far. But we'll be like Him. Our character will be like His. And why do you see the splinter in your brother's eye, but are not aware of the plank in your own eye? Or how are you able to say to your brother, Brother, let me take out the splinter that is in your eye, not seeing the plank in your own eye? Hypocrite, first take the plank out of your own eye, and then you shall see clearly to take the splinter that is in your brother's eye. Right? I brought this up a few weeks ago. We didn't read the verses. But here you have this log, this plank coming out of your eye, just to take that little speck, little issue out of the neighbor's eye, right? And you get all worked up. Got that speck, get it out. But little do you realize is you've got something massive sticking out of your eye that you can't see, but you know what? Everybody else can. Everybody else can. But you can't. Yeah. When you start thinking it like that, it becomes hard. The Spirit has to reveal it to you. Or maybe a brother or sister is kind enough to come up to you. I did say kind enough and gentle enough to come up and say, hey, have you ever considered you might be doing this wrong? Hey, have you ever considered you might try doing it this way? Hey, have you ever considered this is what the Scripture is really saying? That's kindness. That's gentleness. That's loving someone. Verse 43. For a good tree does not yield rotten fruit, nor does a rotten tree yield good fruit. For each tree is known by its own fruit. For they do not gather figs from thorns, nor do they gather grapes from a bramble bush. The good man brings forth what is good out of the goodness treasure of his heart, and the wicked man brings forth what is wicked out of the wicked treasure of his heart. For out of the overflow of the heart his mouth speaks. So the classic good fruit, bad fruit. You know, is your fruit good or is it bad? You have the fruit of the Spirit, right? The love, the joy, the peace, the patience, the kindness, the gentleness, the faithfulness, the self-control. That's pretty close to all of them. And as we've been talking about, as we saw through the Torah portions, one of the biggest things they lack, patience. Patience. And patience is a fruit of the Spirit. And you know what? This life, this day and age doesn't make it any easier because things are at our fingertips. At our fingertips. And we can get it. I have a question about, so you Google it. Or you can talk to your phone and tell it, and then it comes up with the answer. Whatever it may be, instantaneously. Patience. I just bring that up because we've seen it a lot in the Torah portions lately. This constant cycle of they're in the wilderness, and they're grumbling, and they're grumbling, and they're grumbling. What are you grumbling about? What are you grumbling about? For out of the overflow of the heart, his mouth speaks. So whatever's truly in our hearts, it's going to come out through our mouth. It's going to come out at some point. Sometimes it takes a little heat when you're angry, you're upset. But it's going to come out. It'll come out. I remember those days. I still have those days. They're a little bit further apart, not much. But when you're tired, particularly me when I was tired or stressed, and when the kids would do something, oh, you know right away where my heart was. Right away. It doesn't happen as much, but it still does happen. And I'm thankful because it doesn't happen as much. Hopefully that's growth. Growth. I'm not bragging on myself. I'm just hopeful it's changing like that. I'm just hopeful, and I hope it's in all of us. It's changing like that. It doesn't always happen overnight. It takes time. And it takes prayer. It takes asking, Father, please give me more patience. You know, they say don't pray for patience. Why not? That's what he wants you to have. They used to make that joke, don't pray for patience, because he'll give it to you. You have to wait. So I prayed for patience. And I learned the hard way. But is there an easy way to learn it? There's not. You learn through experience. You learn through doing. You learn through walking it out. And we're getting there. We're going to talk about that in a second. But why do you call me Master, Master, and do not do what I say? There it is, Shema. Shema. It came out of Yeshua's own mouth. Why do you call me Master, Master, Teacher, Teacher, but you don't do what I tell you to do? You're not doing what I tell you. Sorry, I'm going to take a little bit from the Torah portion because it really caught my attention. It's like Balaam. Doing sorcery, speaking truth, but he did it was wrong. So, are we speaking truth, but doing wrong? That's a tough pill to swallow. Balaam got judged. He was killed later on. Not in the Torah portion, but later on you see he was killed for his wickedness. I know the Balaam story just blows my mind because he was talking to Elohim. He was talking, and he was getting truth. He goes, I can only do this, but the greed, the sorcery. It says sorcery that was involved. And so he's doing wrong. But he was telling truth. There's even prophecy in there about Israel. So that's the same thing today. There may be people speaking truth, spiritual truths, things that may happen, but you don't see the fruit. You don't see the fruit. And the fruit, love, joy, patience, kindness, gentleness, faithfulness, self-control, long-suffering. That's the fruit we should be looking for. Anger, wrath, malice, that's the bad fruit. That's the thorny stuff. So you also have to remember, I don't know, ever since this struck me with this one, I always say this: the fruit is for us and it's for others. The fruit's for both. It's for us. Think about those fruit. Joy, peace, patience. I mean, who doesn't want that stuff? The world's seeking that stuff through all the wrong ways. A lot of us are seeking it through the wrong ways too. This is why we're going through discipleship. You got to go pray. You got to go there, speak to him. You got to listen to him. We read that through Ecclesiastes. We read that through The Sheep Hear My Voice. We read through Paul. He says he lays himself prostrate before him to be filled with the love that exceeds understanding. Ephesians 3. So he can do more in us than we can ever imagine. Ephesians 3. But do you have the patience to sit there and listen? And then do. Verse 27. Everyone who is coming to me and is hearing my words and is doing them, I shall show them whom he is like. He is like a man building a house who dug deep and laid a foundation on the rock. And when a flood came, the stream burst against the house, but was unable to shake it, for it was founded on the rock. So you get this, the storms come, and it hits against the house. You're built on the rock because you're doing what he says to do. You're going to stand. You're going to stand. Doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but you will stand. Because the storm comes. The storm will come in your life. And there will be other ones. And when you do what he says, you will remain. And then we can contrast that with, but the one hearing and not doing. Hearing and not doing. So James, right? What is it? Up to a bad paraphrase. Don't be hearers only, but doers of the word. And that's even, there's, I'll stop there, but that's what I remember. But the one hearing and not doing is like a man who built a house on the earth without a foundation. So there's no foundation. Nothing. You just threw something up. Against which the stream burst, and immediately it fell. There's nothing, there's nothing there. It just fell over. It just fell over because there's no foundation. There's no foundation of truth, of Torah, and the Spirit guiding you into that. And the ruin of the house was great. So the ruin of that house was great because there was no foundation. Because you weren't doing what this book says. You're not going to get it overnight. He's going to reveal things to you slowly but surely. And then once you begin to take those steps faithfully, he's going to give you something else. He'll bless you in a way. He'll bless you in a way. And once you become too faithful, the adversary will take notice. He will notice, and then your way becomes afflicted. All right. So, let's go to Jeremiah real quick. Jeremiah 3. So I know there's going to be a lot of context to this, but there's something I want to bring out here that I think is a really important point. Important point to note. So Jeremiah 3, I want to read like 3 verses, starting with verse 8. Jeremiah 3, verse 8. So I know there's a whole lot of context here. And I saw that for all the causes for which backsliding Israel had committed adultery, I had put her away and given her a certificate of divorce. Yet her treacherous sister Judah, did not fear, but went and committed whoring too. So just talking about the idolatry with Israel, and now Judah's doing it. Judah saw it, they're going to do it. And it came to be through her frivolous whoring that she defiled the land and committed adultery with stones and wood. And yet for all this, her treacherous sister Yehuda has not turned to me with all her heart falsely, declares Yahweh. So that last line there. So Judah has not turned to me with all her heart, but falsely. So you have the appearance of turning. Maybe you're saying the right things, but you're not doing the right things. Right? There's a difference. You have an appearance of doing it. It's like, yep, I look good today. Going to Shabbat. Or I'm just doing things in front of people. Instead of left hand should know what the right hand's doing. Instead of go to your prayer closet where no one can see you. Instead, you're standing there making a long prayer in front of people. There's nothing wrong with long prayers, but when you're doing it for yourself, that becomes a problem. So I want to stop with that because of basically here they're backsliding. And they have this appearance of looking right, but they're not. They're false. They're false. Alright, so this is that rehash we're going to go through. Let's go through Luke. I don't think I'm going to cover a lot of verses today. Luke 9. So it's just about the commitment, right? It's about the cost. I think it's important that we review the cost. There's a lot of grace when you're trying to walk it out rightly. When you're trying to walk out His truths and you're seeking the Spirit, there's a lot of grace there. If you're not, and you're willfully sinning, there's not. You can be ignorant of your sins, but you need to come out of those, and He'll show you those over time. Or some good brother or sister might help you out with that. But there's a cost. So Luke 9:57. About following the Messiah. (9:57). They came to me as they journeyed on the way that someone said to him, Master, I shall follow you wherever you go. So he's saying, I will follow you. I'm choosing to follow you wherever you go. Right? We've said that. I want to do whatever you want. Wherever you go, I'll be there. And Yeshua said to him, the foxes have holes and the birds of heaven nest, but the Son of Adam has nowhere to lay his head. So, you said you're going to follow him everywhere, right? These are the conditions. I don't have anywhere to lay down. If you're going to follow my footsteps, you won't either. And he said to another, so now he's calling out another, you follow me. He didn't say that, but it says, follow me. But he said, Master, let me first go and bury my father. And Yeshua said to him, let the dead bury their own dead, but you go and announce the reign of Elohim. So he says, I want you to follow me. This person clearly has something else they want to do. And it sounds legit, like, yeah, my parents may be aged or aging, and wait until they pass away, then I'll go with you. He says, no. I want you to follow me. I mean, these are the words straight out of Yeshua's mouth. And another also said, Master. So, me, I'm going to do it. Master, I shall follow you, but let me first say goodbye to those in my house. I'm going to follow you. Well, I got business to take care of first. But Yeshua said to them, no one having put his hand to the plow and looking back is fit for the reign of Elohim. There's something holding back. You're just plowing the field. You need to look straight ahead. You want to look. As soon as you look, it's like driving. Turn the wheel. It's going to go off course. You look straight ahead. Father, what am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? I trust you. I trust you. I can't look back. What am I doing? Where are you leading me? I don't know, but I trust you. I trust you. I trust you. That's what he's saying. You're looking that way. It's not that you don't care, but you're looking that way. These words that he says, they're not just words. They're instructions. Luke 14, 14. $14.26. So now we're going to get serious. Luke 14:26. If anyone comes to me and does not hate his father and mother, so we've been over these. So it's not hate, it's love less than Yeshua, love less than the Father. Who does not hate his father and mother and wife and children or brothers and sisters and his own life too, he's unable to be my taught one. You're unable to be his disciple unless you put him first. Point blank, you can't be his disciple unless you put him first. Doesn't mean you don't care for people. Doesn't mean you're not with them. It's not, I mean, don't take care of their needs. You put him first. Every day. Every day. You put him first. Get things in order. Then you can tend to the other stuff. And he'll bless you through that. You might get things done a little faster. You're like, I don't have time for that. Father, you know it's on my heart. I don't feel like I have time to do that. All right. Step into the prayer closet. Step into your eating and see what happens. And you're saying, Father, I don't have time for this. Well, see what he does. I've seen it. I've been in that place where I don't have time for this. He'll bless your time. You're like, how do I all get done so quickly? I don't understand. How come I'm twice as productive as I normally am? You may go through seasons like that. They're incredible seasons. Verse 27, and whoever does not bear his stake and come after me is unable to be my taught one. So whoever is unwilling to die to themselves, right? Whoever is unwilling to put your desires to the side, put your wants to the side, says you can't be my disciple. That's what it's saying. That's what he's saying. What do you have to give up? What do you have to put to the side? What do you need to take on? It's not always what you want, but it's what he wants for you. And that's being a disciple. That is being a taught one. You put yourself on that beam. We can easily say that. Yep. Deny that. Do it. Are we speaking truth with our mouth, but not doing? That's what that is. Yep, died myself, but you're not doing. Belong. Belong. See, everything repeats through Scripture. Don't be belong. I'm not calling you a sorcerer. But what I'm saying is, don't speak truth and then not do it yourself. Hypocrite. For who of you wishing to build a tower does not sit down first and count the costs, whether he has enough to complete it? So you have to consider what's actually being asked of you. What he's saying. Otherwise, when he has laid the foundation and is unable to finish it, all who see it begin to mock him, saying, this man began to build and was unable to finish. So people are going to give you grief. They're going to mock you. Look, they started. They didn't finish it. You can't finish it. You didn't count the cost. You didn't consider what it was going to really take. You thought you did, but have you? For what sovereign going to fight against another sovereign does not sit down first to take counsel whether he is able to, with 10,000 to meet him who comes against him with 20,000? And if not, while the other is still far away, he sends a delegation to ask conditions of peace. So then, every one of you who does not give up all that he has is unable to be my taught one. You can't give it up. You can't. So in that conditions of peace there, they gave it up. They gave it all up for the peace. And you're unable to be his disciple. The salt is good, but if the salt becomes tasteless, with what salt, with what shall it be seasoned? So, yeah, it looks like salt, but doesn't taste like salt. It's worthless. It is not fit for land, nor for manure. They throw it out. He who has ears to hear, let him hear. So we do have to hear. Do we have ears to hear? Or we have our fingers stuck in our ears? I don't hear you. I don't hear you. Did you say something? Let's see here. Maybe one more and I'll... Matthew 10. I think I'm going to stop here after we get through this one. Matthew 10:34. So before we go there, just a second, we can go there, but as I sit and think about this, What do we hold on to? Like in life. But what do we hold on to in our walk? As I was thinking about this too, I found over the years, like, he's taken some of the more worldly things away from me. The things that I was sucked into the world with, he took those away from me. Or showed me a better way. And then as I kind of grow in maturity and see through scriptures, I had these scriptural ideas, either truth or spirit in my head, that I was holding on to tightly. He's had to remove some of those. That's actually a little harder. Because you know what? It's your faith. And you think you're right. But are you willing to test it against the book? That's all I'm asking. I'm not saying you're right or wrong. You may be spot on. But are you humble enough to put it down? Walk away from it and test it. That's a question that we all need to answer. Because we all have our favorite, I'll bring it up, the controversial stuff. Is it flat or is it round? Which calendar? That's the petty stuff. Right? Some of it's very important. The calendar's important, but figure that one out. That's a challenge. Flat or round, there's some meanings behind that. Don't get me wrong. But usually it creates problems. You know what? We don't love one another. The end times challenge is to love one another. The Book of Philadelphia. Or the Church of Philadelphia, sorry. Not the Book of Philadelphia. The Church of Philadelphia. Philadelphia being brotherly love. So that's, to me, that's the hard part. Like you've learned something, and it may be true, but maybe it needs to be modified, shaped just a little bit. Are you willing to allow that to happen? Sometimes it's a total flip. Like, oh, I was way wrong. Or is your pride a stumbling block? Is your pride a stumbling block? Pride precedes the fall. All right, Matthew 10:34, and so I stop. Do not think that I've come to bring peace on earth. I did not come to bring peace, but a sword. All right, we're very familiar with this. He doesn't come to bring peace. It's not easy. He brings a sword. For I've come to bring division, a man against his father, a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law, and a man's enemies are those of his own household. So we see the challenges are those people that are closest to you, who you cherish the most. This is getting hard. This is getting much more difficult. He's bringing the sword between those people that you grew up with, you were with. He who loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me, and he who loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. He's saying, if you love these people more than me, you're not worthy of me to be my disciples. And he who does not take up his stake and follow after me is not worthy of me. So here, denying yourself, putting Messiah above those closest to you. And what if that is denying ourselves within the fellowship? Maybe you really have this deep truth understanding, but others aren't quite ready to hear it or grow in it. Are you willing to maybe sit on it for a little bit until some others are ready for it? We can also go the other end, easier, the other end to pick on the spiritual end, right? There's a lot of spiritual giftings in this room. I know it. I see them. I'm not sure we're all ready for those. Are we willing to put those aside for a moment? I'll say brief moment. It never feels brief. To allow people to grow and be edified through it. So it's on both ends that we can go wrong. And we're commanded or told to walk in spirit and truth. We have to do both. John 4. I have to walk in spirit and truth. And we all come from different backgrounds. We have some that are stronger in spirit. We have some that are stronger in truth. We need both. And we're all different levels. Different stages. Levels is the wrong word. Different stages of growth. Some things are new to us. They're like, oh, what is that? Would that be a truth thing or a spirit thing? Sometimes I think the truth can be worse. Does the book really say that? Really? So we have a lot to think about. So as this kind of fellowship is, I think we're moving in the right direction. We have a long ways to go. I think we're moving in the right direction. But I felt like I needed to come back and circle up, circle some of these key points, because they're not easy. They're not easy points, because really it's not just about speaking them; it's about doing them. I'm not saying we're doing something wrong. I'm not saying that. I'm saying now's the time to get the foundation right. That's all I'm saying. Now's the time to get the foundation right. Because we're building from nothing up. And that's the beauty of it. We have this opportunity to build from nothing up. And so going forward, not immediately, we're going to have to do things that I'm actually very hesitant to do. Because there's some things that we're a little scarred by in a way. Elders, deacons, that's scriptural. So for example, or people that are in charge of things, I don't know how to think about that. Like Bonnie, she leads music. I asked her to. She's capable, she's willing, she's good at it. I asked her to do that. Kyle with the tour portions. I saw something in him, or he wanted to do it, or maybe he didn't want to do it, but but I saw that there was something there that I think is an opportunity to grow, an opportunity for growth. Same with Bonnie, opportunity for growth, to edify the body. Because we all need to grow. Let's grow in our giftings to edify one another. Is it going to be clunky? I'm growing in this position. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm depending on the truth and the spirit. That's the only reason. That's it. And support from you guys. That's it. And I'm trying to turn that back around to grow you guys and support you guys so you can be what he wants you to be. To edify one another, to be light in the world, to be salt, to give taste to this world. Because we need a lot of flavoring right now. We need some bright light out there. And so part of that process is putting things down to the side so we can grow Trust me, I'm ready to. Whew. I've learned the hard way. Can't do that. He doesn't work that way. I've pushed against and I lost. And I'm sure some of you've pushed against and lost too. But I know for me, over the course of time, one of the biggest lessons I had to learn is patience. His timing, His way. His timing and His way. Don't know what that is most of the time, but it comes down to trust. Do we trust you? Or do we, as we talked a little about last time, do we trust our flesh? Do we trust the things of this world, like the Egyptian army? Do we trust the Egyptian army? Or we trust the Father? You're like, I'm still sitting here waiting, but the army's all around me. And Elijah or Elisha, I can never remember. He opened the eyes, asked him, the Father opened the eyes of the servant so he could see what was really around him. It wasn't that fleshly army. It was the fiery army. I don't remember if it was messengers or actually an army. Yeah. But Elisha, I think it was Elisha, was just, hey, what's the problem? I don't know why you're stressing out here. That's the way we should be. When we're on the rock and that storm hits, that's the way we will be. Father willing. And you know what? I think He's willing. You know, we always ask the question, what's His will? What's your will? Don't like that question. It's an important question, don't get me wrong. His will is to do His commands, walking by His Spirit. If we're doing that, there you go. That's His will. It's really not that complicated. We can make it complicated because we get in the way. Me, myself, and I get in the way. That's why you need to focus on me, myself, and I each morning to get rid of me, myself, and I. So anyways, that's it. I was loaded. But any questions, comments, thoughts? Happy to hear those.
I'll comment.
Sure.
I appreciate your words because Yeshua said, and my brother who is a Baptist will say there's two commandments. Love the Father and love one another. But isn't that what the whole Torah is based on?
Yep.
It exactly is. And this is, men's hearts are not, they claim they love Torah and they claim, knowledge, but they don't love each other. And I think you're exactly on target with that thought. Because, when it comes right down to it, do you really love each other?
Right.
Or do you do it when it's easy?
Right. Most of us do it when it's easy. And even John, I think it's 1 John, one of those Johns, talks about if you don't love your brothers, you don't really love the Father.
Exactly.
So we have this critical aspect. If we can't love one another, be patient, kind, gentle, all that, with one another, we don't really love Him.
Yeah. I think that's lacking amongst all believers, not just Messianic,
Right.
but all believers. And that's what we've got to find.
Yep.
And it's hard.
Yep. It is hard. And that actually, when you're talking, brought something back to mind. because I call it the tour Wild West, because we just kind of shoot each other and move on, right? You laugh because you've seen it.
Yeah.
It's only funny if it's true, right?
Recently.
Yeah. And I think we've all been part of that at some level. And so that's what we're trying to avoid. And so Deuteronomy 12:8, I just thought this was the Judges, but it's actually in the Torah. Deuteronomy 12:8, do not do as we are doing here today, each one doing whatever is right in his own eyes. So that Torah Wild West, right? Doing right in our own eyes. There is a way. There is a way. We just have to humble ourselves and find the way. So Deuteronomy 12:8. So what first came to mind was Judges, because they're doing right in their own eyes, and that's why they had the Judges. But here it's in the Torah. Don't do right in your own eyes. Can't. So I'll keep going on with that thought. It's like, yeah, hopefully over the course of the next whatever months, years, whatever, we can start to grow deacons, leaders, giftings. That's the goal. To walk that out. Because I think there's a lot here. But at the same time, we have to love one another. We need to see who each other really are, where our strengths are, where our weaknesses are. We need to learn to trust one another, right? And some of that's just through time, being around one another. Hey, I can count on these people. I can count on these people. They're not just being big-headed with all these Torah verses they're bringing out, all this and all that. They actually walking it out. They're not just over here telling me all this, using their gifting. However it is, whether it be teaching or prophecy or tongues or service, they're not just showing off. That's who they are. That's the gifting that they've been given.
That's why love has to be the foundation.
Yep. Yep. That's why love has to be the foundation. That's why we need to learn to deal with one another. Not that we have any issues, but we want to prevent the issues.
Yeah.
Funny.
Part of loving one another is not being easily offended.
Yep.
That's what my heart immediately went to was, okay, well, how do we practice love? Not being offended. If somebody does something that makes us angry, we need to address that in a way that has love and attention and affection for that person outside of the offense, and not allow that offense to take root, not hold on to it, not mull over it. Like, if you find yourself mulling over something in your mind and you just can't stop, you have a root of bitterness.
Yep.
And you need to forgive, you need to move on, you need to let it go. So not being offendable is like number one to me. I struggled so much with offense 10 years ago, and the Father just removed it from me to the point where I'm so far on the mercy side that I need help from my brothers and sisters to discern properly. But like, that has been a tool that has kept me from losing relationships for years and years and years. So don't be offendable.
No, that's really good. Like, we have to consider what actually being spoken and not let emotion take over. Because usually what happens is that emotional response kicks in, like, they're a jerk. They just told me that they're a jerk. Instead of considering the words that actually came out of their mouth. I need to go sit with this. I need to go pray about this. All right, Father, my emotions hurt right now. But what are you really trying to tell me? What are you really trying to tell me? Because I know this person, they're not mean. They're trying to do me good. I know them. What are you really trying to tell me? And if we can get a fellowship, a community like that, we're heading in the right direction.
Yeah.
He's going to be smiling at us, right?
Love is believing the best about a person until you find out otherwise.
Yep.
And just believing that their intentions are good for you, that they love you, and until you find out otherwise. If
Yep.
you find out otherwise, then you have to have a biblical perspective on how to handle a difficulty in a relationship.
Yep.
But until then, just do the best.
Yep.
And it releases all of that. Like you can have emotional, hurt, whatever, from someone hurting you. But like believing that it makes it like it's less wounding.
Yeah.
It's less wounding and it's less traumatic. When you believe the best about someone and you say, for instance, if somebody frowned at me across the room 10 years ago, I would think that they really disliked me, but actually they had stubbed their toe. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. Believe the best. So my go-to, like, if somebody cuts me off in traffic, I want to be really mad, but instead I'm like, they probably have an emergency. They're having a bad. I try to just believe the best. That helps a lot.
Yeah, that's good. And we should, especially around here, right? Especially around here. And then if there is an issue, it's the simple Matthew 18, go talk to them. Go talk to them. Okay, you're still, maybe you need to take someone with you. Okay, now we need to get a larger group involved. But, so it's a pretty straightforward process, but it's a lot of how we receive it. Emotions are great, but we have to keep them in check and understand. And a lot of times that's just taking a step back before we say anything. All right, Father, what's going on here? What is going on? It's good. Any other thoughts or comments?
I just really appreciate that you're taking us back to the basics. And when I had this memory flash in my mind, I remember probably about 30 years ago, I was training with a guy who, just martial arts training, jiu-jitsu. He was the highest ranked black belt in the United States at the time. He had been the U.S. Olympic judo coach several times running. Wrote the introduction to Bruce Lee's first book, and one day I walk in the dojo and he's practicing a white belt technique, something you'd learn in like the first 3 or 4 months of training. And he looked at me and he grinned and he says, I almost have it. And when you said that, we got to go back to the beginning. We got to go back to the basics. I was like, right, because that's why he was who he was, and that's who we want to be in the faith world. Is we want to be that person. Is like right back to the basics. I think I almost have it. Yeah, I've been doing this however many years I've been doing this, and better go back and get that basic right.
Yeah, that's good. If we can't master the basics, how are we going to get anything that's more complex?
Well, and on that note, since you brought that up where you were already talking, when it comes down to the foundation and fundamentals.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, the foundation, right? Doing it. And we talked about the foundation. If you don't have that foundation by doing it, you're not going to stand. It's not going to stand. Sorry, one more thought popped in my head. We have to be like children. So one thing I've noticed, and this is not critiquing anybody or anything, but I found like, I was just talking in my house one day, and this book came out, and I was just talking about, like, look at these kids. They're able to get along together, but the parents can't. So this means something for most of us. You guys might be in the dark a little bit, but we know kids that are getting along, hanging out, fine. Then we have adults that can't. I'm not saying it's our fault or anybody else's fault. There's some bigger issues, obviously, but that struck me like just a little way. It's like, oh my goodness, we have to be like children to enter the kingdom.
You have short memory for emotions.
Yep.
Emotion is only in the flesh. You have short memory for emotion.
Right. But the children are example and are putting us to shame. let that one sink in. And I thank the Father for children to give us that example. You think about it, they offend one another. They're playing back with each other in 5 minutes. 5 minutes. They're out there doing it again. Playing, having a good time. Us? Get out of here. Never want to see you again. I'm not saying I can fellowship with you. I can at least see you and say hi. Yeah.
It's pride. We can see a child as they get older, the areas of pride, because they resist correction. They hold grudges. And it's all goes back to pride. We need to be seeking to be easily correctable, unaffectable.
Yep. Pride precedes the fall. That's why I've got pride, you got humility. You're tugging it right back and forth. They collide. Anyways, this is tough stuff, but if we basics. This is like whatever, level 1, maybe. Right? We're at the basics. Basics of all basics.
It's important though, I think, you started your teaching today about talking about the wilderness and the grumbling in the wilderness, and it's really important because we have to remember we will be brought back there. We will be brought back to our foundations before he returns. You gotta be ready for it.
Right. So what are we gonna act like? So if we can't do it now when we have everything we want,
Exactly.
what are we gonna act like when we don't get what we want? Especially from a culture that gets whatever they want.
As soon as they want it.
Egypt was that same way too, just different. We're just a little faster. We hit a button, and then the food shows up at the door, or whatever, order pizza or whatever. That's a little old school, but DoorDash now, right? Never done it, but
My daughter does it constantly. 11 o'clock, Taco Bell.
but that's the point, right? We gotta get the foundation right because we're gonna be in big trouble. Big trouble. We're not gonna be able to tolerate one another. And then we got nothing. Nothing.
One of the reasons, one of the reasons that adults react differently to social conflict with children is because children haven't gone through all the social trauma that adult has. So most of our responses are trauma-based responses seen through that lens. So a lot of times you react to somebody not because of what they did, but because of all the trash that's happened to you before. So it's cumulative. So you have to learn to push that away and deal with each situation as it presents itself.
Right.
But we're all trauma-damaged people because we've been alive and people hurt us. And they walk away and generally don't care.
Right. That's why when we get to learn one another, we can understand, all right, when I talk about this to so-and-so, I need to be really careful.
One of the telltale signs is if somebody overreacts to something and then they don't forgive.
Yep.
If you see that, that's trauma. It's not about what happened, it's what happened eons ago and all the luggage they're bringing with them.
Yep.
Look for those things and then you'll kind of know what you're dealing with.
When you look at children, and the analogy that you gave, you're talking about young children.
Yeah. No children.
Young children. Because even, my son tells me that when he was in middle school and high school, the status system kicks in and you're not in the status of cheerleaders, football players, that kind of thing. So, so that gets learned as young adults very quickly, a status thing. And the Father doesn't want us to have that mentality. He wants us to be like the little ones, and I think, as what Tara said, we need to heal.
Yep.
We need to heal from the past stuff, you know, so that we don't react out of trauma.
Yeah, glad you said that because I think my hope is that's what will be a place for people to heal, a place for us to grow, a place maybe even for people to be set from, to go out. I don't want to lose anybody, but hey, if Father's calling you to do something, go. But we need to heal first. We need to grow first.